Hey there, welcome to the MINECON 2018 Making a Map with MCEdit panel. We'd like to introduce ourselves before we start.
I'm James. I'm also known as gentlegiantJGC online. I make a number of filters and have done over a number of years, and I've also worked on a number of different projects that have appeared on the Minecraft marketplace.
I'm Jeff. I go as TrazLander is my handle on Twitter. I've worked on MCEdit. I've done QA, which is quality assurance stuff on it, bug testing, and I also do my own map making.
I'm Ben Gothard. I'm also known as Podshot online. I am one of the developers of MCEdit Unified.
I'm Noor, also known as Noor 2013. I'm the other developer of MCEdit Unified.
I'm Adrian. I run a map-making magazine that is free to contribute, free to consume, called Map Making Mag. And with that, I try and help people who are new to the map-making scene get up to speed and give a forum for people who make maps to share their knowledge and skills and help the community grow. So we'd like to kick off today's session with a little bit of a look at what MCEdit can do.
If we can roll the video. So MCEdit is a separate program to the game itself. It's run separately to the game, not at the same time. It allows you to import worlds into the program. It allows you to edit them to however you like. You can select a big selection. You can copy it from one world to another. It allows you to fix issues that you may have. So if you've corrupted a world, you can copy stuff across. You can use the fill tool to select big sections of the world, and whichever block you like. You can clone if you want a repeating pattern, but you don't want to replace the blocks manually. You can use the clone tool. You can also use it to scale up selections, which we'll use later on in this panel. You can delete whole sections. You can use a brush tool to... would you like to talk about the brush tool?
So the brush tool is a special kind of tool. It actually allows you to import your custom code into the program and use it as a brush. So if you have a certain design that you want to be able to repeat over and over again, you can make that into a brush and then just use that across all of your builds and maps.
There are a number of stock brushes that come with the program, such as just normal standard fill, which allows you to select either a sphere or whichever type of brush you select, or varied replace, or erode, and there's a number of them that are on there if you go to play with it. Okay.
So I like to think of MCEdit as an amazing notepad that can be used to do all sorts of things to your Minecraft worlds. It's very, very powerful. Mm-hmm. So Noor and Podshot and Traz, you guys have done a great job. Shall we take a look at the history of MCEdit and how we got to the point where MCEdit Unified can be used in this really powerful way?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, MCEdit is a 10-year-old program. A guy by the name of Code Warrior started it. He just needed a way to edit maps and made a tool for people to do it. He kind of kept working on it for about 5 years, and it was mostly just him. He open sourced it at some point, and gradually, kind of burnt out on a little bit, and his, less worked on it a lot less.
We owe a huge debt of gratitude to Code Warrior for all of the work that he did in opening up this tool and making it available to everyone.
Yeah, it's amazing.
He laid the groundwork, and we kind of took it over. With the help of TrazLander, he kind of recruited most of us to the team. A
guy by the name of Karthik started, it was falling apart. There's a lot of issues and bugs, and
A new version of Minecraft came out as well at the time, so a few blocks didn't show correctly or didn't work.
Yeah,
it was falling
blocks weren't showing right because more and more new blocks were being added. And so the guy by the name of Karthik duplicated it and created his own thing on GitHub to open source, and he started working on it, fixing a lot of the blocks that were not showing. That's mostly what he was working on, was just getting a lot of the blocks not showing. And so I came on there and I found out he was doing this, and I started listing bugs. Bugs, lots of bugs. I gave it a nice Google Doc.
So you were the nuisance guy saying, this doesn't work, this doesn't work.
Everything's, this is what's wrong, you need to fix this, please.
And you found some really weird bugs. Like if you click that, and then you push that, and then you do that, that doesn't work. But I have no idea how you even discovered those bugs.
Yeah,
It's really weird.
I'm the master bug finder. I really am. I just started listing them all, nice little organized list, and he was doing what he could, but it was just Karthik by himself. So I put out a call to the subreddit and the Minecraft forum, and Twitter, wherever I could find, and put out a call to anybody want to help. And I have a bug list, and you can check them out. And we got this guy,
Yeah.
and that guy, and he came. These two came along with a couple others, and started knocking off the list. Him especially. He's just deleted every bug that like the most obscure things that I could find, and was just destroying the bug
It actually got
list.
to be a race. I actually raced you at some point, seeing how many more I could check off than him. But he beat me. He was unstoppable.
I tried.
So you guys were cleaning up the code base and bringing it up to speed with the newest Minecraft versions that were being released, and getting it back to a usable state so that map makers could keep realizing their vision and keep creating fun experiences in the game. Yeah.
And once we hit that, once we got it back up to speed, from that point onward, we just started listening to community feedback. We asked a whole bunch of map makers, we're like, what do you want to see in this program? And we got a lot of requests for various features. I know you two especially were like, hey, can you guys like try to add this? And so we ended up adding waypoints at some point where you can just jump, you can pre-save locations in your world that the editor can jump to. So you don't have to fly around it, just looking around all the time for that one spot.
Productivity improvements, things to make it faster to work with the tool.
Yeah, we also added resource pack support. So if you had a 16-bit texture resource pack, you could import that into MCEdit and use it. For the most part, some texture packs, if they didn't do things just right, some blocks would be missing. But we added that.
It's fair to say that the map makers are a reasonably patient lot
Yeah.
to sort of come with you on this journey. But the project that you kicked off has a different name. It's not just MCEdit, is it?
Yeah. It's called MCEdit Unified because originally the MCEdit code base was split into two different places. It was the main MCEdit code, that's the actual program that you saw. And then there was a portion of the program called PyMC level, which was...
delicious pie.
Yes, not that kind of Python, the programming language. And it was the library MCEdit used to interact with the world, with the save file. And we ran into some problems early on with that and trying to keep everything up to date with itself. So we came up with the name MCEdit Unified when we took both source code bases and kind of just merged them together. So, and then we're just like, hey, we unified MCEdit, and since then the name kind of stuck and we ran with it. So
this session that we're on is really about MCEdit Unified. There are other MCEdit flavors out there though, and it's probably worth just going into a little bit of detail about what they are so that you can understand what tool to use when we're talking about today's session.
All right, so we're going to be using MCEdit Unified in this session. We'll be using our most recent testing release. We'll have a new release coming out soon. There's also MCEdit 2, which is by the original creator, Code Warrior. He has open sourced it as well, but it's mostly in the beta testing phase. So while you can use it for some aspects of world editing, you might run into some issues until he kind of gets them sorted out. So we're going to just be going with MCEdit Unified for now, but make sure to keep up to date on his version just in case he has plans with it really soon.
Another thing important to mention that it's not just the two of us. There's a lot of contributors that help us a lot. For example, we added translations, and we got a lot of feedback where people actually added their own translation. We have translations to Chinese and maybe a few more French.
I think Spanish as well. Yes. and that was done by an amazing contributor called Lachal. He joined us early on, I think just after you and I joined the project. He came on. He also helped add Bedrock support, which is going to be coming in our 1.6 release, which we hope to get out sometime in the next few weeks or it's a month. He added translations. We also had a few other...
Wait. That sounds like breaking news.
Yeah.
So version 1.6 is going to be available in the next month.
Yes. We're finishing up the testing on that right now. It will come with Bedrock support for the most recent versions of Bedrock. And there'll be just general bug fixes there as well as a few performance improvements.
Guys, that's awesome. Well done. Thank you. That is going to make many people very happy.
Hope so.
So let's talk a little bit about the way that the Minecraft worlds are put together, because MCEdit is a tool, but it works against something, which is the Minecraft level definition. So a lot of players are very familiar with the way that blocks are placed and destroyed and picked and are used to build models. Blocks are a very simple construct within the Minecraft world, and MCEdit is absolutely fantastic at building things with blocks. The other more complex objects are blocks that have additional things in them. So these are things like chests and furnaces, but also things like spawners that have more information about how they operate in the world. And the way that Mojang has created these blocks with extra information is by using a little bit of a language called NBT, which, it's a bit too technical for me to describe what that means. Does anyone know what NBT stands for?
It stands for named binary tags.
Named binary tags. Wow. It must be a very powerful thing to be named binary tags. We're just going to call it NBT. So blocks with NBT are block entities, and when you destroy a chest and things go flying, it's because there's all this information that's in the chest that gets used to create items. And the last class of things that really matter to people who are building maps with MCEdit are entities. These are those hissing creepers that you need to avoid as they come charging down to destroy your builds and your houses. So they're also the cows and sheep and dolphins. Anything that sort of moves around that isn't fixed in place is an entity. Mm-hmm. But of course, Minecraft is very complex. There's a lot of other stuff that is underneath the hood that you need to work with, and MCEdit is a tool for doing that as well. So with MCEdit, you can change the biomes that you're walking around in on a map, and with that you can use it to craft different colors for blocks. You can also use it with the Bedrock version to add water to things like fences and stairs. So there's some new features that MCEdit, through the work of these guys, has kept up with and added to the tool. Now this image that you will have just seen on screen is actually the MINECON Earth 2018 updated map, which I understand may be free through the Bedrock marketplace in the coming week as part of the MINECON event. So thanks to Gigabob for preparing the picture and also doing all the hard work to update that map. But the key message here is there's a lot of things that you can touch and adjust and customize with the MCEdit tool, and the best maps are those maps that use those features in new and exciting ways, and that's where MCEdit really comes into play. This is the Minecraft marketplace. This is a view of some of the projects that people have put together and made available for you to download. And most of the projects that you'll find on the marketplace have been built with the help and assistance of MCEdit. So the team here is actually powering a lot of the creation and content that you're using in your gaming. But of course, there's a challenge in getting from having a tool to using it in a really effective way. So maybe, James, if you could take us through how you do that.
So to start with, you need an idea. The idea the whole map will revolve around. You can kind of go into a project without a set idea, but it could be a little wandering. It won't be a set thing.
You can change your mind.
You can change your mind halfway through, but it might deviate slightly.
Good to have a vision.
Yes. So we went through, we just chatted for a bit, we threw different ideas around. I think you wanted to do a CTM with what were the other ideas?
Yeah, I heard mazes. We thought we might put together a
I think
maze.
the key map was on the table for a bit as well.
I do those.
But what we wanted for this map was something that was kind of going to be visual, because we felt it was going to be the best thing to kind of display what MCEdit can do in a visual way, because a lot of the other things might be technical, but might not display particularly well on a panel like this.
So when you talk about this map, what's the new and exciting giveaway that we've got as part of the the MINECON?
So we have made a map we've put together that will be available. There'll be links in the description to the different maps. It's going to be available in Java and Bedrock edition, so you can open it up wherever you like. It's free. You can go download it now, but I'd suggest waiting till after the panel. We're going to try and avoid spoiling the levels as much as we can, but we're going to show how we go through them and explain how we made them.
So this panel will take you through using MCEdit to create a real map, and then you'll have the opportunity to download that map and play it as part of your Minecraft experience.
Okay.
So let's take a look at level 1 of that map.
So if we can roll the video. This one was suggested by Adrian, is a selection of islands that you have to fall through. We'll explain what a dropper map is in a sec on the next level. But in this one, I generated a vanilla world and then copied and pasted sections of the world up into the air, and then used the erode brush tool to remove material from it to make it look like an island, floating island, to make it how I wanted it to, as you can see in the video. I then copied and pasted the islands that I'd made. I made a number of them from this world into the world that I was making the actual dropper map in, as you'll see in a sec. And then pasted them in the area that I wanted them so that you could fall through them, but it was sort of difficult to do so. I then used a filter, an MCEdit filter by Adrian, to make rope bridges that you can pass from 2 different points that you specify.
So I'll probably jump in and just explain. Filters are small programs that we build in the MCEdit framework that help you accelerate jobs and make it really easy and quick to sketch out big scenes like this.
And create bridges.
It's one example, yeah.
And filters can do things other than blocks. They can do MBT data of entities and chests, as well as just like
Biomes.
Yeah, biomes as well. So they're kind of like the multi-purpose. Like if you need to automate something, you can do it with a filter.
So let's take a look at what a filter can do in the next level, level 2 of the map.
Which is another filter written by Adrian. You can explain why the filter was made.
So let's have a look at the video.
If we look at the video, yeah. Which is just select a selection box in the world and then set the blocks as you like, and then run the filter, and it will generate a fully made dropper map. So I should explain what a dropper map is. A dropper map, which was first made by, what was this?
Oh, Big Ray made a couple of dropper maps called creatively, Dropper 1 and Dropper 2, and they became very, very famous. And
yes.
What it is you as a player stand at the top, step off, and as you fall, you try and dodge the objects before you get very badly hurt.
Really close. And then fall into the water or the ladders or the vines or whatever at the bottom of the level and try not to die.
So let's take a look at level 3.
Yeah. This is, if we can run the video, this was a tree that I grabbed from the same vanilla world, and I used the clone tool and the scaling tool in the clone tool to scale it up to significantly bigger than the thing is. So then you start at the top and then sort of have to work out a way to get down without dying.
Yeah, no spoilers, no spoilers. You have to enjoy it when you download the map and have a play. Let's take a look, once we go through this, at the next level, level 4.
Yes. Uses another filter, if we can run the video, another filter written by Adrian, which takes a little selection box, and it's called the fractal filter. You can explain what a fractal is in a second, but it essentially takes the selection box and repeats it a number of times in a fractal nature. Would you like to try and explain what a fractal is?
Yeah, so the fun thing about fractals is they look really, really complex, but because they are self-similar, they're patterns that just repeat themselves over and over again at different scales, they're really easy and interesting to make. And this is just a programmatic filter in MCEdit that you can use to build your maps.
So I selected, created the region off of his filter, and then selected a smaller section that I felt was the right size for the dropper map. and then use the clone tool to copy it, rotate it upside down, and then rotate it round so that I created a 3D level that you could fall through that was sort of symmetrical and looked nice.
And the fun thing about this one is as you play the game and look around, you'll get lots of different views of this enormous fractal. And it's quite scenic.
But because it's a fractal, it sort of looks similar. There's always the same repeating section that you'll always see, just at different scales.
Yeah, isn't math wonderful? Let's take a look at level 5, because it's very different.
Yes, if we can play the video, which is a very short video showing the level. We don't have a video explaining it because I felt the filter itself, which is another filter written by Adrian, was too complex to summarize in a short video. It takes a section of the world and sort of wraps it into a tube, and then I've rotated it around so it's a tube of jungle
that you fall through.
That you can fall through from the top to the bottom, and then you've got to try and work out how to get down it.
Yeah, one of the cool things that map makers do is make curves in Minecraft, which is good fun.
Legal.
Breaking Minecraft.
So
different panel.
The next level is very different. So you're going off on a big tangent when you get there.
Again, another one of your filters. Adrian does a lot of graphically intensive filters, as opposed to I produce filters that are more technically based, and others do as well. So I felt I was going through the filters and
looking for the pretty ones.
Looking for the pretty ones, and most of them were written by Adrian. So his surface filter was this.
This is the surface filter. Yeah, lots of maths functions.
Yes,
very exciting.
I played around with it and picked some of the options that I felt were the best looking ones, which are these ones, and then copied and pasted them into sort of an area that I wanted to make them difficult to fall through, but interesting and possible. I then added it in color using the fill tool with the replace option.
So you're basically saying, don't give up. When this one kills you again and again and again, there is a way through it, and you can defeat this level.
It's just a little difficult.
So let's take a look at level 7.
If we can play the video. Again, I think this one was suggested by Adrian, again, using another one of his filters.
This is the filter panel, the Adrian.
It is essentially filter showing. There is also another one by Seth Bling in this one. I generated a bunch of clouds that looked good and then copied and pasted them. I was doing this in a test world, so I didn't screw up the real world. I advise doing that as much as you can.
Yeah.
I copied and pasted them into a sort of tube area, so again, to make it so that you could fall through a bit was sort of difficult. I then used a filter by Seth Bling, which is an old one, but still a brilliant filter called Create Rotated Solid, which takes a selection of blocks and sort of rotates it around into a center to make the
amazing fantasy cloud dropping land thing.
Yeah.
So level 8 has no filters?
This one has one filter, but not one of your ones.
Let's take a look at the second video.
If we can play the video. This one, I tried to use as few filters as possible. I kind of used the fill tool to create a box and then add a windows, and then inside to the building. I then used the clone tool to repeat the same level over and over. So it's the same level, but you're falling through the level. You're not really going to get to see it all that much. So it's fine that it's repeating. I then created the tower, and I created another variation using the variable fill brush tool to replace the brick with stone and mossy cobblestone.
And that way you get different buildings, different styles.
So it's not all the same. I then used, copied those and pasted those into the big plane that you just saw to kind of create a city that you could fall through, but it's sort of difficult.
Flipped it on its side.
Flipped it on its side, yeah. I then used a filter, again, another one by Seth Bling, to create the hedge maze at the top to sort of add a bit of detail to it.
Yeah, and I think everyone's going to love that level. It's a little bit tricky.
I think you had it difficult with that one, yeah.
I did, yeah. Let's have a look at level 9. And
yeah, we can play the video. This one, again, I didn't use any filters on this one. I wanted to kind of show off what MCEdit can do without filters. Brilliant as filters are, I wanted to try and avoid using them where possible. So yeah, I filled, use a brush tool to create circles and cylinders, and the hole out the bottom, and then use the fill tool with the replace option to fill the lava in the bottom, and then use the brush tool to sort of add in detail so it wasn't just a single tube, and then added the variable replace brush tool to add in sort of some obsidian.
So if you had to do all this by hand, this would have taken you a very long time.
This would have taken you a very long time, whereas I was able to achieve this in a week or two.
Yeah. So Level 10 is a little bit different. What we're doing is we're opening it up to you, the map makers out there, and of course the players who want to be map makers, to contribute a level to us. And we'll share the details of how to do that. Simply use any tool in Bedrock or Java to create a dropper level, make it as vanilla as possible, and submit it to us through the Mapmaking Mag Twitter account. What we'll do after November 30, which is the date that we've said for submissions, we'll put it all together and we'll release the map, hopefully before the end of 2018, and we'll make it available for free on both Java and Bedrock. So give some thought to participating in that. It should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we kind of want to introduce the audience back and try to show off what they can do and sort of bring the audience and try and convince them to
start making maps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not that difficult once you start going.
So we thought it's best to cover off frequently asked questions. It's a panel, it's a participatory thing, so we got a lot of frequently asked questions. Maybe Podshot and Noor, you can take us through it?
Yeah, all of our frequently asked questions was the same question. It was, when is 1.13 support coming to MCEdit? So the quick answer is never, because it's just too complex. They change too much. It's really hard to incorporate to make it part of MCEdit. So we thought, why not? We should just rewrite everything and make a new program that would replace MCEdit for 1.13, not only for 1.13, but for every version. And Podshot, can you?
So yeah, we'd like to introduce this new editor as the Amulet Map Editor. It's completely written from the ground up, as he now said. It will first. We are focusing on 1.13 support straight out of the gate. It will be a brand new editor, like we said. It will be almost completely customizable in every aspect of the editor. We're not just going for filters and brushes, like we mentioned in this panel. We're going to hopefully you'll be able to edit any kind of terrain or feature that comes in Minecraft. You'll be able to edit with this editor.
So you're really breaking the bounds that have held us back.
Yes, we have definitely learned from MCEdit. It's been a great program. We just feel this is the next best step. This is the step where we can step off and kind of do something different, try new things, see how they work.
So one of the things you can do today is connect with the site and, of course, follow the team on Twitter.
If you want to join our team, we could use help, any help. It's all open source. Anybody wants to come contribute. We'll try to get some bug lists out there, and you can come, if you know Python, just come knock out some bugs.
Even if you don't know Python, you can sort of just
learn it as you go.
These two barely knew Python when they started.
I learned Python from making filters.
Yeah.
Great learning experience. Get involved.
All three of us kind of just started on filters, and now we're the main developers of it. So I think we did pretty well for ourselves.
Yeah. So watch out. You might end up being the main developer of this tool. So that's one of the things you can do next. The other things, keep in mind, we've got the free dropper map that you can pull down, play. So that's available. Links will be in the description of the video. You can use MCEdit to make your own dropper levels and then contribute them back. We'll bring them all together and make them available back into the community. You can also contact us for help and guidance in using the tool and in the process of using the tool. Check and follow Amulet and keep a look out on the Amulet Editor Twitter for links to pull the maps and participate in the projects. So we want to thank you for sticking with us as we brought you through the wonderful world of MCEdit map making. Until, well, next time, thanks very much and goodbye.
Yeah. Goodbye.
See you on the internet.
Thank you.
Bye.